Season 2 of Echo and Ember is sponsored by WizKid Creative.
Hi, my name is Tori Micah Walker, but people know me professionally as Micah The Artyst, and this is Echoes and Ember.
I appreciate you being here. It's Micah, right?
Micah
The Artyst. All right, dude. Well, I appreciate you coming. Thanks for coming by. Sorry, Micah The Artyst.
Yes, a little pizzazz, so you know I'm a little different.
You gotta season it a little bit.
Of course,
Put
I
a little
love it. You
something
gotta
on
know.
it.
I like to try and stand out. So.
Sweet, man. Well, right on. So we got the name correct, Micah The Artyst. I'm actually really excited for this episode because you're the first person that I've interviewed that don't really know. Like, you and I have had like a couple conversations in passing.
Yeah.
And you're also the first person to be like, hey, I really want to get on your show. Can I do that? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm always looking for guests. So thank you for that. I'm excited.
Of course. It's funny because some people will say I talk too much, and then other people will say I don't talk at all.
I can see that. I feel like you're probably really like off the wall with your friends and like maybe like a couple close group of people, and everyone else is kind of like very stoic.
I'm a little unhinged.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Well, cool, man. So tell us a little bit about what it is that you do. I know a couple things, but I'd rather hear it from you and let you tell everybody.
Oh, man. What is it that I do? The question is, what is it that I don't do? So in short, I'm an entrepreneur, right? I'm a creative entrepreneur. And what that means, at least for me, is I use my art and my creativity as kind of like a way to make money and means. Now that's kind of where it started, and it's kind of like snowballed into so many other different areas. So it started with like visual arts, and then it got into like photography, videography, and then it got into content creation, and then it dug its way into like digital marketing, and then it dug its way into like creative strategy, and then branding, and then just like life coaching and business coaching. And like literally the other week I passed my travel agent exam. So
wow. So you kind of, it sounds like you just kind of let the curiosity take you wherever you're gonna go.
Of course. I mean, I'm curious about life. I've lived a lot of lives in my life. Like, when I say that, I say I've done a lot, and I've done a lot of different professions, but I've also like literally had different lives in my life.
I believe that.
Like, I've had a few near-death experiences.
Okay.
And so like literally the first one I would consider a near-death experience was like in 2008, and I was a little kid. My big sister was driving, and somebody like hit us in the front at like an intersection on like McKnight Mill Road in like Greensboro.
Jeez.
And it was a hit and run, and it was like a bad hit and run. So like when they hit us, like I blacked out.
Wow.
And it's like I was like seeing stars and everything else. And all I remember is like my little sister crying because she was like a little baby around then. But the only reason I came to was because my big sister was like, yo, you gotta get up. You gotta get up. And then so she got me. She got my little sister. My little sister was crying. The car seat was popped up. My mom, we had to get her out. And they categorized it as a hit and run because person hit us, left their car, went into the like hotel, like motel area right across the street, stole somebody's car, and pulled off.
Holy cow.
And that was the first one.
Okay. All right. Well, that's how we got started, everyone. That's how we got to this place. That's how Micah became Micah. Okay, cool. So what was really interesting about you telling me what it is that you do is like you're like visual art, then photography, then video, then content creation, then strategy, then business strategy. And it's kind of weird because it's like you, in doing that, you kind of held a mirror up to myself. It was very similar. The only difference is that instead of it being visual art at the beginning, for me, it was music. It was music, and then it was production and engineering, and then it was photography and filmmaking. And then the journey was exactly the same. Where it's like now that's what my business does, is like content strategy, business development, all that stuff, but using content as the way to do that.
Of course.
So I guess my question with that is like, as you went on this journey, considering the near-death experience, Like, how did you get started? Like visual art. Like, what drew you to visual art when you first began?
What drew me? Okay, so honestly, it's funny because like my brother doesn't know this, but he's the one that really got me started with visual arts.
Oh, cool.
Like when I was a little kid, we moved down here from like New York.
Okay.
So, we moved to Greensboro probably like 03, 04. And I was a little kid in the scene, first grade around that time. And I remember like my brother was like drawing and like he's real gifted. Like I don't see him drawing as much these days, but when I was younger, like he was raw with it. Like he was raw with it. I was looking at his stuff like, that's kind of hard.
Yeah.
And I was always trying to copy some of his stuff. So I remember I took a pencil, and we used to have like nothing but line paper because we didn't have copy paper.
Yeah.
Because like copy paper is expensive.
It was expensive. Yeah.
So I just had all the line paper, and I just started trying to draw, and like it didn't work out. I thought it was gonna look like his. It didn't.
So what about what he drew in his stuff? What about it was it that made you go like, man, this is really, really good?
I think it was just the fascination because we were really big into like anime and cartoons and stuff, and he also kind of like started me on that as well.
Yeah.
Because like now I'm a big anime nerd as well.
Yeah.
I love my cartoons and stuff. Like that's kind of some of the influence that comes into my artwork too. Because I love like the adventure and the curiosity and the growth, even down to the idea they're like, all right, you want to be my friend? And like that's the whole thing. Like I've always wanted good friends too.
Yeah.
But the thing that really drew me to it was, I guess, style itself.
Okay.
Like I felt it was really spot on, but it was also really cool because I hadn't seen anything like it before.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, that reminds me of, so I'm an older brother. I have a younger brother. And around college time, when I was like 19, there's a 7-year gap between us, is when he first started getting into music. And I remember being like, man, it would be really cool to have someone to play bass lines while I played guitar. And so I basically was like, hey, Lauren, here's this bass. Can you play this? And he'd be like, yeah. And then he would do it. And then I would play the guitar part. And then it like became a thing. And then it's like a year or two later, I look up and it like he's kind of blossomed into his own artist, his own musician. He's playing music, he's playing bass. And now, like as adults, I'm 34, he's going to be 27 this year. He is like, he's run a music studio before. He's producing his own music and he'll send me stuff. And I'm like, how did you come up with this? And like part of me sees the little kid still, but the other half of me sees like, oh, not only is he like getting better than me, I'm probably not going to catch him. Do you experience that at all with your brother at all? Like, did you kind of like, was there a moment where you're like, I got him now? Or is it like something you guys kind of have grown in together?
It's funny because I feel like he fell off of drawing and art and stuff like that, and he dove more into like his video game bag.
Okay.
And in his video game bag, like he has me beat. Like he is raw at any games he plays. Like, and he primarily plays like the Japanese style games and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's raw at them. Like I try and play them, and I get cooked. Easy.
Is he good at it? Like, could you put a Super Smash Brothers controller in his hand and he would just?
Oh yeah, he's
dominate?
raw with it too.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
He's raw
Sounds
with it
like
too. I'm not like that with the video games. I like video games, but he's way more raw in that area.
Okay.
But like when it comes to like the visual arts, like I feel like I'm pretty raw, and it's to the point. It's like I feel like when he looks at my stuff, he's like,
well done, young grasshopper.
or he's like, have you ever tried this? Have you thought about this? And I'm like, nah, that's not what I'm going for.
Yeah. Right on. So when you say visual arts, the reason I ask this is because when we did our artistic elements, like you were helping Hassan set his up.
Yeah.
And then Shanice was like, hey, can I get some help with this? And you're like, I'll set your exhibit up too. Like, why not? I think you helped T. Walker with some of his as well, right?
A little bit, yeah.
So like when you say visual arts, what is that? Like, what do you mean by that?
So it's a little bit of everything. So I've dabbled in a little bit of everything when it comes to visual arts. Honestly, like it did start with drawing with my brother, but my mom saw I really dig like creating, and there's this place in Greensboro called the African American Atelier.
Okay.
It was probably one of like the only black-owned art galleries we knew at the time, and we were still pretty new to the area. So like around that time when we were a lot younger, like this is before my little sister was born. She put me, my big sister, and my big brother in there. Granted, I was the only one to stay for a little bit, even down to the fact like my little sister was born, and she's like 8 years younger than me. And I was in it for a little bit, and they would have free Saturday enrichment classes because our classes are expensive.
Yeah.
So I got to try, making pillows, making earrings, airbrushing, print making. Like that's also where I ended up getting my start with like muralism, because there was a teacher there, and we helped on a mural. I forgot where at. I think it was Bennett College in the nursery. And then I ended up presenting for them, and they were like, oh, they're like really well spoken, they're pretty talented. And I ended up kind of like being on their team for like years and years after that. Even from like middle school through like high school up until college. And then we ended up like separating and like splitting ways, and I decided to like take myself more into like the professional gallery side. And that's, I mean, in short, like visual arts is kind of like I've touched on a little bit of everything. Even around that time, like I started with like sculptures. Like I still have in the storage unit, we have my first sculpture that I've made.
Wow, that's cool.
And it's funny because I believe he had a cigar in his mouth, and that's the only thing that's like not still there. But the rest of it's like a whole facial structure, and like it was my first time, and they were like, "You sure you've never touched clay before?" I'm like, I'm certain.
Yeah, because sometimes like when you find that thing, it just clicks. You're like, I don't know how to do this, but I do. And that's what learning guitar was like for me when I was in 6th grade. It was just like the teacher would say, okay, play this note. And be like, bam. And then they're like, play this note, bam. And the other kids are like, how do you know this? Have you done this before? I'm like, no, it just makes sense to me, And so, so that enrichment on Saturdays, what do you think your creative journey would have been like if that wasn't available to you?
I feel like I would have kept myself in the box a little bit more, because I have a very big like let's go and try random stuff, let's try new things type energy. And the fact we didn't have a lot of resources and we were still new to the area, we didn't know a lot of people, I feel like I would have just stuck with like that number 2 pencil for a while. And it would have probably just kept me in a box. I probably would have been like really, really refined, even more than I am with like my drawing skills. Because I'm pretty good now. Like I do portraits and stuff for people.
Oh, wow.
Like I just finished a portrait the other day. It was like a 200-year-old like photo, and they wanted me to like recreate it.
Oh, wow.
And it's a little charcoal. It's like just a small 5x7, but I can do like realistic portraits and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would have just kept me in a box, I feel like it would have probably, in a way, delayed my starting.
Okay.
But I would have probably found my own way and my own route. And I think I would have definitely been more into the arts in a different way.
Okay. So it's almost like because you had this enrichment center, you like there was kind of there were a whole lot more opportunities and like other avenues to explore. And you were like, this is great. Like I can try anything really. And then next thing you know, you're making, sculptures with cigars in your mouth. How old were you? Like pretty young, right?
Yeah. I had to be less than like 13.
Yeah, exactly. And I could not imagine doing that at my age now, but like to do that at 13 is wild, There's something I was going to ask you. Oh yeah. So like, what's your main squeeze now? Like when you say, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a, creative, I'm a this, like, what do you feel like is there one thing that you spend the majority of your time doing, or is it still just kind of like a nice, eclectic collection of different things that you do?
Honestly, it's as much as I don't want to admit it, I don't create as much as I would like to. And I think it's more because I've dove more into the business side and wanting to help people with their businesses and stuff. Yeah. I don't create as much as I would like to. I think more recently I've dove back into poetry more often because I'm like, some of these things I'm just getting off, they're not hitting right. Yeah. Like I'm feeling a lot of emotions and I need to get these emotions out, and painting or drawing aren't hitting right. So I'm like, let's try wordplay. And I used to dabble around with like wordplay. I used to like write poems when I was younger. And I was that kid in like elementary school that used to write stories.
Oh, cool.
I used to write stories. I think I had one in like 3rd grade called like The Blasphelians.
Okay.
And I think it was just about some like giant like extraterrestrial beings.
That's cool.
Or something like that were kind of like, if I had to compare them today, they were kind of like Power Rangers in a sense.
Okay.
But I used to write poetry. I think back in like 1st grade, mine got published to like this book. I don't know where it is to this day.
So you've just been winning your whole life. Like just from day one, you've just been slinging it is what it sounds like.
It's funny you say that because when I think about my life, right, I don't really see a lot of victories. But when I talk to people, they're like, "Oh, dude, you're doing so good.
Dude,
you're doing so amazing."
So real,
and I'm like,
man.
Really? Really?
Dude, we are our own worst critics sometimes. Where it's like, you know, yeah, we were talking before this. Like I was bidding on a significant amount of work and I lost both jobs for reasons I have no control over. It came down to geography. I wasn't physically there. They went with the local option, which I understand.
Yeah.
But it's like you lose that, right? And like in my mind, I'm like, oh, dude, I should just quit and throw in the towel. Like, let me just go get a job. And I'm talking to my dad or I'm talking to my wife, and they're like, no, dude, like a year ago, right? It's been a year since I've left. At the time of recording this, tomorrow will actually be 1 year since I left my job. And it's like, I'm still here, you know?
Yes.
Like that's a victory, you know?
Listen, man, that's a victory in itself. I think, what is it? I quit mine in March of 2023, and I have not looked back.
It seems like March is the month to do it, bro.
Listen, bro, it was hilarious because I was working with kids. I was doing like after school, counseling, like helping kids with like their classwork and everything else. It was like me with like 20 something other kids from like the ages of like 5 to like 14.
Yeah.
And they ended up finally bringing someone in. And then after a while, I was like, yo, like I'm just feeling the itch. I need to get out of here. Granted, like my first couple times I made, a couple $100 out, I made close to a band in a day. And I was like, man, you can't tell me nothing.
Yeah.
Why am I working $50 an hour, bro? I made half of what I spend, half of what I make in a month in 6 hours.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I wasting my time here? And then I went to the job and I was like, hey, today's the last day. And he's like, well, you got to give 2 weeks notice. And I was like, well, I already have my resignation. He's like, you don't really need a resignation letter. And I'm like, oh, well, here it is. I'm not coming back.
I'm not coming back tomorrow.
And he's like, well, you got to just, and he thought I was coming back. And I never came back.
I'm glad you brought that up. What drove you to be like, what that itch, you were talking about that itch, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did that itch feel like for you? What was it that was like, I don't think this is the place for me anymore?
I had been feeling like that way for a while. So I dove into entrepreneurialism in like 2018.
Okay.
Like on my own. This was when I was in college and I was trying to sell my art. I remember, and it was funny, I was literally just looking at it earlier today, and it's an old memory that originally started on Snapchat, but now it's just in my phone. And I think I tell people about this periodically, but the acronym was QAFL.
Okay.
And I had it all on like my bed in the apartment, and it was like quality art for the low.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, selling prints for $20, selling originals less than $35.
Yeah.
I barely moved any product.
Right.
I think I sold one of my only pieces to one of my homies.
Okay.
He still has that piece to this day, and it's so
Nice.
hilarious.
Come on, man.
I visited his place probably like last year sometime, and I was like, "You still have that?" He's like, "Oh yeah, man," And I'm like,
You gotta support the homies,
like that's crazy. I was like, I was like, that's so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that itch was like, I believed in myself, but I never wanted to jump off the porch for real.
Mm-hmm.
And I would,
Because there's safety on the porch. You're
Yeah.
safe there. And if it fails, it's not my fault.
yeah, and I would always just be like, I could go get a job, and the words in the back of my head would always be like, yo, you can't make money as an artist. You need a career in X, Y, and Z. And like, I eventually ended up dropping out of college with like a year left.
Oh, wow.
And not a lot of people know that, because when they ask me, they're like, oh yeah, you must be college educated, you must be this and that. I'm like, no, man, a year a year towards the end I dropped out. And I dropped out because of like crazy mental health things. Like I was spiraling. Like when I was going through college, like there was a lot of like microaggressions, you know, some racism, sexism. I had just came back from Cuba because we had COVID and I was supposed to be over there for 3 months and I had to leave with a month left. And then I couldn't come back home because my mom had an autoimmune disease. So I had to live with my big sister in Raleigh. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any transportation. I didn't have a job.
I know that feeling.
And I was like, okay. So I thought I was going to be there for like a month or two. And then they hit lockdown. And I was there for like 6 to 8 months. And then I had to go back to school. And the thing with being in school, they're supposed to give you a reentry program when you come from studying abroad. They didn't give me a reentry program. And note, like when I was in Cuba, we were submitting work on flash drives from Microsoft Word.
Wow.
When I came back to college, we had all these apps and everything else, and they switched everything because everything was now online and all this other stuff. And I'm like telling my teachers, I'm like, yo, like, I need some help. And they're
Welcome back to the 21st century.
They're like, you're good. You know what? I'm like, no, I'm trying to figure it out. Like I'm actually like behind. I've literally been in another world for the last year.
Yeah.
And they were not cutting me any slack. And then like teachers were going real hard on me. And like my grades just started to tank even further. Like I started like doing bad. Like my GPA wasn't doing phenomenal. And I did real good in Cuba, you know. But then when I came back, like straight D's.
Oh, wow.
And then I got on probation, academic probation. Yeah. And then next thing I know, like I'm over here trying to talk to teachers. And next thing I know, I had an advisor and he was like, oh, yeah, you're not going to graduate. And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? I'm like, I'm still a semester ahead. And he's like, no, bro, you're a year behind. And I'm like,
how did that happen?
I'm like, what are we talking about? Like, how did that? And he just started like going off on me. And I'm like, yo, and I just, like my mind, like I literally could not go through it. Like in that meeting, I was like about to cry.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty good on like handling my emotions. And I was just so overwhelmed. And I was just like, yo, I'm not coming back. I cannot do this. And I kind of just like mentally checked out for like a while after that. And after all of that, and this is me still getting back to like the reason I had to scratch that itch is because like after that, I started working security. And then I started working as like a program/event coordinator at a local artist spot, like an arts venue. And then I was like, okay, cool. You know, I'm starting to get back into the scene. And that's around the time I was like, okay, let me rebrand myself. Because Micah The Artyst was the name I had in like 2018, but I couldn't really like, I wasn't confident saying it and telling it to people. So like when I was working at that place, I'm like, hi, my name is Micah. And I'd be like, and I'd say the artiste, but they're like, oh, the artist. I'm like, yeah, I'm Micah the artist. I'm Micah the artist, you know. But then after a while, I had my camera around that time. I bought my first camera and I started recording videos. I was recording anything and everyone. And I was like, okay, you know, just throw me $20 here, man. Throw me $10 here. You know, and they wouldn't want to pay me. I'm like, okay, cool. You know,
buy
just
me
post
some
it.
lunch or something.
I was like, just post it, bro. And it's like they did. I'm like, okay. And then I started doing photo shoots and I bought some more gear. I bought some lenses. And I was like, okay, I'm doing my thing. And it was just really cool because I felt myself progressing. And then I was diving more into social media and I was posting more. And I was getting traction and people were like, oh, like, what do you do? So this is when I was diving more into like my digital marketing and I was posting my analytics. I was producing quality content.
Yeah.
Like I had the different types of creativity in it as well. And people knew me. My prices weren't terrible. So I was like, okay, cool. And I was trying it and I was failing a lot at not getting paid anything. But I was like, oh, this is still fun. I love this. And then I ended up, one of the guys tomorrow, because he's been kind of like a mentor to me, kind of like a mentor business partner. And I work with him like still to this day. I've worked with him. It's 2025 now, close to like 6-7 years, honestly.
Dang.
And I help him with paint parties. painting football fields.
Oh wow.
So we do a little bit of everything, help making shirts, like heat press transfer shirts. So it's like he's been somebody to really nurture me, and I finally took him up on his offer. And in I think October of 2022, I ended up getting a studio with him.
Oh wow.
And it was super cool, but then I believe in January of was it 2023? I believe someone broke into the studio.
Oh man.
They shattered the glass, stole hundreds of his shirts.
Oh man.
And they stole all my camera equipment.
Oh dude, that sucks. Did you have it insured?
I didn't.
No.
I was about to get insured literally the next week.
Oh man, that's awful.
And I was just going through it all, and all the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
And then literally 2 weeks after that, that's what I made that first $750, almost $800. And I was still working that job, and I was like, this is not for the weak at all.
No, it's not.
I was like, I cannot replace any of that equipment. I made this money. I'm on a high. I feel good. I got people around me that I love. I have the experiences. I have people that support me. But I'm still working this 15 an hour job, making $1,500 a month after taxes.
Yeah.
Actually, wasn't even $1,500. It was $1,400.
Jeez.
And I'm like, but I made half of that in 6 hours.
Yeah.
I was like, imagine if I actually just fully committed.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm pretty sure I could make 10 times that in a month.
Yeah.
Haven't done it just yet.
Not yet. Not yet. But you're
See?
close.
Yeah. But I think I'm very close to unlocking that secret sauce to getting there. But that was kind of that itch, because it's I had failed for so long and so many things were happening. And that was boom. I was like, wow. I was like, I didn't make my $1,000. And then later, I think probably somewhere in that year, I made my first $1,000 in a week. And I've talked to other people, and they're like, oh, you've never made $1,000 in a week, but that's them working jobs. I'm like, yo, that's all me.
No, you going out there hustling and grinding.
I was like, I made my $1,000 in a week. I was like, I locked in 2 bands today.
Yeah.
That's all me. Nobody else.
On
bro.
my terms.
Exactly.
On my terms.
So
not going somewhere 9 to 5.
Exactly. And I'm like, yo, I could do this for real.
Yeah.
This is, and granted, it still has its ups and downs. And I'm
It
still trying to
does,
figure
dude.
out how to do all that consistently. But I think working with all the systems and making the connections and doing the things that I do, I'm somewhere I'm close.
Yeah.
To just
I feel the same way.
cracking that code. And it's something about what's going on recently, even the stuff I'm doing today. I was filling out some stuff because I'm trying to get a contract with a local gallery.
Nice.
And I'm like, something about this. I'm like, this opportunity just popped up. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna hop on it. I think it's only been out a week, if that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna hop on it. I need that as a contract.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. No, that makes so much sense. All of that, I know that was kind of we went a kind of a roundabout way, but
that's my storytelling method.
But all the information is necessary though, because now when you get to part of the story where you're like, I'm leaving, it kind of almost feels like it was a repeat of what you experienced in college, where it's no, I've been through this before and I don't want to do this again. Mm-mm. And I'm doing all the things that people are telling me I'm supposed to be doing, and I keep finding myself in this situation, and it's just not working for me. It works for other people, but for me, not the sauce. So I'm not gonna. That's not what I want. And the reason I asked that question is because I felt something very similar when I left my job, where it was reached a point where it was okay, if I, just maybe on this project, if I really sell out, I'll get the promotion, or if I really show out, I'll get the rec. And it was it just wasn't coming.
Mm-mm.
And I was like,
because it's never gonna come.
Exactly.
They don't give you the option to do that.
That in certain situations, and I say this with all the love in my heart for my previous job, in certain situations, there is a select 4 or 5 people that are going to get the love, and everyone else exists to make sure that they get the love. Mm-hmm. And once I realized that not only was I one of the people that existed to make those 4 or 5 people better, but that there's no way to get into that in this place, see ya.
It's just like sports, bro. A lot of people don't know me these days as an athlete.
Okay.
But anyone before college, that's all I did. Like from
Really?
the ages 7 to 18, I played basketball religiously.
Okay.
Like when it got to high school, every season,
Wow.
literally every season, like doesn't matter. I was practicing, I was training, I was up for the early training, you know, an hour before school started. We stayed late and did practice afterwards. We traveled up and down the East Coast. Like I've been to Philly playing basketball. Like I've been to South Carolina, like Virginia. Like, you know, this was me. Like I was legit trying to go pro. And nobody these days knows I'm like an athlete until they see me start doing things.
Yeah.
But it's like that's starting five, like my freshman year. And I still got love for all of them. But I remember I would work my ass off. And I'm 5'9".
Yeah.
But my freshman year, we were so raw. But it's like they had the philosophy about seniors, right?
Yeah.
And I was the freshman, so I would always sit on the bench. I was there to practice, and I was going hard. And the homie that bought my picture, he's like my big bro. And he was one of those seniors.
Oh, nice.
He was one of the people I could never fucking beat.
Oh, really? Okay.
I would literally match up with him all the time, and he would cook me.
Yeah.
Every time. He outsized me, outweighed me, but I had hella heart. And me and him played similar because we both played with a lot of heart.
Yeah.
So like I would really be up there like on him, like
you're gonna get this 20, but you're gonna earn every single 20 of those points.
Every time he would cook me
Yeah.
so bad. It's so bad. But it's like, you know, and I go back to that because in college, like they have the starting five.
Yeah.
But it's like we all kind of just existed to let them get their breather. If they got their breather.
Yeah.
Right? And then only if they're up like 20 or 30, I get to come in the last minute or 2 minutes. They're like, all right, pass him the ball.
But that's the thing is like, using this analogy, I know I can ball.
Exactly.
I know I can ball and I'm just not getting the chance. So I'd rather go to a junior college or a D2 college where I can play. You know, or like I'm a huge, huge European soccer fan. And the amount of times that you see these players that are at these big, big clubs that are like a second tier player, like not a starter, but like a sub. And then they go to another club and then they go and set the world on fire because they get to play every week. Now there's an adjustment period in there because it's like you go from not playing at all to playing all the time. You got to kind of get used to that.
Yeah.
And I think that very much applies to business too, where it's like when you're in a job, it's like you're kind of on autopilot. But then when you become a freelancer or you're self-employed or starting a business, it's like
much time.
You have so much time and nothing that you really need to do, but a lot of things that you should do. And there's no one standing over your shoulder saying, hey, man, get that done. It's you now. And it's like that's an adjustment that you need to make, you know? So yeah. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. Where it's like at a certain point, you're like, you know what? I'm going to bet on myself. Yeah. And it takes a very specific temperament to make that bet.
It does, and I want to slightly go back to the
go ahead.
the topic where you were talking about you would rather go to like a D2 and hoop, and it's crazy because I mean I did play like varsity in high school, but the only year I did not play varsity was my sophomore year, and that's when I had a stress fracture on my spine.
Oh wow!
So like it was really hard for me to like move every time I breathed. I had a lot of pain. And my coach, he was one of my mentors at the time. I love, bro. Like, I actually need to give him a call. But he was like, listen, I got to give you a call, Phil.
Yeah.
Like, but he was like, yo, like, do you want to sit on the bench and, you know, get your reps in, you know, get yourself together on varsity? Or do you want to lead JV? Because we were just starting JV. And in my head at the time, I was like, I don't want to sit on the bench with varsity and X, Y, and Z. I'll go play. And then I went to go play with JV, but I realized I've been playing with varsity the whole time. And so I had expectations of varsity on JV.
Yeah.
And I would get upset because it wasn't the same.
The standard's different.
Yeah, the standard was different. And I look back to this day and I think about that. I'm like, bro, like, that was one of your early tests. Like, would you rather be willing to sit for the delayed gratification? Or do you want that immediate, you know, you want your itch scratched immediately?
Hey guys, real quick, wanted to take a beat and thank our sponsor for season 2, WizKid Creative. They stepped up in a huge way in supporting me and the podcast and making sure that the voices of the creative community in North Carolina can be seen and heard. WizKid is a full-service creative agency built for one thing, impact. And not just the flashy stuff, but real impact. The kind that moves people, grows brands, and turns ideas into work that actually works. So whether you have a business problem that you need to solve, or a brand in need of some love, or just want to make something cool, like a podcast, they're the crew to call. You can find them at wizkidcreative.com and tell them Echo and Ember sent you. They'll treat you right.
And I think about it a lot, but I'm like, yo, like, what would have happened if I decided to just keep working through on varsity?
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure I would have rehabbed so much quicker, and I probably would have been a lot better. But I decided to take the easy way out. And I think about that a lot in reference to business, right? Because you could take the easy way out and just go get a job and, you know, do it part-time. And it's crazy because, like, in the last year, like, I've applied to a lot of jobs, got none of them.
Weird.
And no, none of them. I have a lot of qualifications, but it's like the things that I do, I'm very, like, cross-functional.
Yeah.
And I have a very expansive skill set.
Yeah.
And I have, even down to this day, like, I've won 5 awards internationally.
Wow.
And I've built a business, and I've been in, you know, High Point Furniture Market. I've been in these rooms with all these people. I've been in galleries. I've been in exhibits. I've curated. I've ran my social medias. I've done social media management, all these different things that I've taught myself. But it's not to the corporate standards. And I don't think
corporate, what do you mean?
Like, I would consider, I don't have a name right now, but if I'm talking like corporate, right, I'm thinking like established, like larger businesses. That's like, okay, we want a social media
Like
manager.
a recognized brand.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, they're like, we want a social media manager. You got to do X, Y, and Z. You got to have this. You got to have that. And I'm in here and I'm looking at my resume and I'm like, I've done all of that, but it's like, it's not the way that they would expect it to be done. So I realized when I was applying to a lot of these jobs, like, I would have a phenomenal cover letter and I would have all these things, but part of it, I was like, okay, I'm also what they would see as a college dropout.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I don't even make it to the table because I have that gap.
Yeah.
But I have a ton of experience and accolades.
Yeah.
So it's like,
It's funny. I was just talking to my dad about this, where it's like, what's the one area where you can take the rule book and throw it out the window and it doesn't apply anymore? It's business, right? And like so much of what we learn in college is about like how to follow rules. Now, granted, I think in business there are rules that you have to follow. Like, you got to do things in the right way and play the game the right way. But you know, a lot of what I imagine you do and what I do is a lot about like, I wake up on a Monday and I'm like, I need to get over there, but there's no like rule book or instruction manual or recipe to get to that place. Like, I got to just figure it out, you know? Now, there are other people that I can look at for, you know, inspiration or like kind of like take something from them and take something from them. But like, no one is going to where I'm trying to go because only I'm going there, kind of thing. And I think that's every business owner's journey is like, there's this place I'm trying to get to, and other people have done something similar, but no one's done it exactly the way that I've done it. And it's just a struggle every day, is that like grind of just like, can I get just a little bit closer, you know?
oh, I mean, listen, man, I've rebranded myself more times than I have hands. Fingers, toes, probably closer to how many bones I have, honestly. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, okay, I know exactly how I want to brand myself. And I market myself now as a creative visionary. And that encapsulates like, you know, the brand strategy, content creation, artistic direction, life and business coaching, and I believe social media like strategy. And I'm using all that because I want to also become, I believe, what did I call it? Experience design or something similar to that, because I want to craft experiences.
That's cool.
And I want to use like arts and creativity and business and craft events and things of that sort. So I want to curate galleries. I want to curate events because literally, like, I think last week when I was in Charlotte, because I'm helping to produce a TV series for the first time.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Like, I was talking to the executive director and we were hanging out like a little bit afterwards, and they're like, yo, what's that project that got you like, yo, I could do this? And I was like, now that you asked that question, it was my senior year of high school, and I went to a private school, and I wanted to do something different than everybody else, because everybody's like, let's go to the soup kitchen, let's do a couple hours of service. And I'm like, if I'm gonna do service, I want to do something that has an impact, that has a meaning. Like, anybody could go to soup kitchen, anybody could do this. It's like I'm not hating on it, but it's like I wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
And so my dad's a DJ, so I've been around music and hip hop and everything my entire life. And I ended up coming up with a senior project called Because of Hip Hop. And it got shot down 2 or 3 times. Mm-hmm. And shout out to Carrie Hart. She was one of my high school teachers. I think she was my English teacher. Mm-hmm. And I got her to technically be like my sponsor. So basically a person to be like, this is a good project. He should be able to do it.
He should be able to do it, yeah.
Because she actually believed in me. And everybody else was like, no, this doesn't make sense, And I had to brand it as an educational and informative event about the culture of hip hop, And I finally got it approved. And I curated a 2-part series event where I had caterers, I had dancers.
In high school.
I had scholars.
In high school.
I had vendors, I had videographers, photographers. Like, it was so cool. And like, to this day, like, my parents are like, when are you bringing the project back? And I'm like, maybe, when the 50th year of hip hop came, I was like, maybe I'll think about it. But I never did. But I'm like, yo, that was definitely like the first one. And I'm like, I think I should just leave it as it was. But I do want to create something again, because that did like give me that itch in a sense where I was like, I can actually do something. And like, I had no money, literally no money. They said you can't pay anybody or whatever else because it's not going to be considered service. So I had to reach out to people. I had to exercise my connections. Yeah. I had people call out day of because they didn't want to do it, But I had a lot of people. I made the flyers. I made the social media. I bought the domain name.
Wow.
Like,
in high school.
All of this. Like, that was my senior year. And I did the first part in November, and then I did the second part in April. And they were like, yeah, you have to have like 140 service hours. But I think I had close to like 240.
I believe that.
Because I was putting in the hours, and I made a presentation afterwards. I'm like, all right, so this is what I did, guys.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, wow. Like,
but because you don't have that piece of paper that said you finished college, like, I would hire you, But it's because granted my look, and I'm looking at it a little different. I see the experience. I see the value. I see your ability to finish, to go, okay, here's the idea. Here's how we get it done. It's done, right? But yeah, man, that's got to be frustrating for someone.
Oh yeah, listen, man, whenever I'm in something, I'm in something.
Oh yeah,
until it doesn't make sense anymore.
Like like college and like your job.
Yeah, until it just doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've put my everything into this.
Yeah,
and if it's still not working, I just need to take a step away.
Yeah. It reminds me, I'm gonna go a little niche with my anime knowledge here, but Samurai Champloo.
Oh my goodness, yes, that's like one of my brother's favorite. I was literally just playing the playlist.
Oh, it's the greatest ever.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's the greatest ever. But there's that episode where it's the one where they get involved with the Yakuza, and at the end, Mugen is dueling one of the gangsters that's in the Yakuza that is now left and is like trying to find his own path. And Mugen's like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." And Mugen's like, because I don't know much about that holding back stuff or something like that. And that always stuck with me because I've always felt that. Like, if I'm going to do something, it's going to get 100%,
Always.
And it's just, that scene has always stuck with me because Mugen is like, I want to be him when I grow up.
Yeah.
And he ends up just completely wasting the guy. Like, guy doesn't stand a chance. but at the same time, the episode ends with this gangster who's, I think, dead, smiling. At least I went up against someone who gave it everything, you know? And that's kind of the people that I'm looking for, which is, again, why I'm really excited that we've got to chat, because I see in you what I look for in myself and in other people is like, if I'm going to do it, you're going to get 100%.
Oh, of course.
And like, that's why when you were helping with the artistic elements thing, you're like, well, I'll help this person and I'll help this person, because it's, you know, you want to give it your all.
That's where I'm at. I mean, I'm always a person, like, I feel like my purpose here in life is to either be a role model or to help.
Yeah.
You know, just in a general sense, like help.
Yeah.
And my guy Hassan, like, I try and not overstep, because I know what I can do and everything else. But I'm like, this isn't my exhibit. This isn't this. Like, I'll bring this stuff. And that's why I was asking him, like, yo, what do you want to do here? What do you want to do here? What do you want to do here? He's like, bro, I don't even, like, I'm gonna be honest. Like,
here's your canvas. Make it happen.
He's like, I don't even, like, curate art. He's like, I don't know why I did this. Like, you know, he's like, you know more about this than I do. He's like, I just had the idea to bring stuff in because it's something I want to do. He's like, you know, and I'm like, all right, say less. I'll help you out.
Yeah.
And that's what I just started, you know, getting to it, doing things. And he was helping me. I'm like, all right, is this crooked? You know, boom, 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 doing what I need to do. And next thing I know, I'm in there, and I forgot her name, but the lady with the glasses.
Satara?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, like, I don't expect anything when I do certain things. So I'm in there helping, like, everybody's like, yeah, you're getting food, X, Y, and Z, and I'm just here working. And she's like, you know, you can go get some food,
Go eat some pizza, bro.
I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm not even supposed to be here. She's like, yeah, go get you some food. She told me like 3 times.
That's Satara. That's how I know it was Satara. She was like, you need to eat you something.
Yeah, the second time I was in there just locked in, drinking some water, because she gave me the little box water, and I was just drinking that. And I was, cause I'm like, when I'm working, I'm working, you know. And then third time, I was almost done with the whole exhibit. She's like, are you going to get some food? Because they about to eat all of it. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll put it down. And I got like 2-3 slices, and I came back, and all of it was gone. And I'm like, oof, good thing I got some food,
I got in there,
Yikes.
Yeah. No, it was cool watching you work, because it was, I think I borrowed the ladder that you were using like 3 times in 15 minutes to change lighting on mine or something. And you're like helping other people, and I'm all like super focused and concerned on my thing. But yeah, that really stuck out to me, that like you didn't just like, like you said, you weren't even supposed to be there. But then when you were there, you were like, all right, let's do it, you know? Yeah. And you helped make everyone else's thing better, you know? And like, for me, that's kind of like one of the emerging themes of the show is like, I believe that anyone can be a creative, because to me, being a creative means I'm here and the situation is better than it was before. And I definitely felt that when you were helping with the exhibit. So I want to give you your flowers on that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I wanted to ask you something else. I can't remember. Oh yeah. So going back to like the basketball and then the business thing, like, do you see, like, in what ways did like your grind in basketball kind of prepare you to go on your own to do business?
It's funny because you say that, and it's like I had a really heavy grind on basketball, but not as much as I could have, because I hated practicing.
I understand
right?
that.
My coach, he told me, he's like, all right, bro, you're undersized, you're very quick, you're a lockdown defender, you're almost a dead-eye 3-point shooter, but your handles suck. He was like, if you go to the next level, that's the only thing you can be as a point guard.
Yeah.
But I played every position. Like, I was hooping in the center. Like, because I had bunnies. Yeah. So I could, and I had a solid figure on me, a solid frame.
Yeah.
So, like, I'd be hooping, you know, the dude's 200 plus pounds, 6'7", 6'8", 6'11". I'm over here.
Thank you, sir.
You know, hooping, you know, I block their shot periodically, you know, steal the ball, etc. And, you know, all the time people's like, oh, he must be fouling X, Y, Z. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good.
I have game like that. Like, that's what's up.
I'm a defender. Like, that's what I do. But it's like, I never liked being in the limelight. I never wanted to be that person in the front. And it's funny, to this day, like, I reflect still on it. My guy, Phil, you know, he was like, yo, like, you're a leader. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I like to be in the back. He's like, no, you're a leader. Yeah. Stop acting like. He's like, you're not average. what are you doing? Like, he's like, I'm going to make you a captain and you're going to have to lead. And I'm like, oh, bro, I don't want to do that.
I understand that. Yeah, because it's, again, you're kind of like holding a mirror up to myself. When you said, like, I don't want to lead, I want to be in the background. I don't want to be in the limelight. That's something that I'm dealing with right now. It's like I realized that the best thing for my business is for me to stop hiding.
Yeah.
And to have a point of view and to share that point of view. And for me, that's LinkedIn organic, right?
Yeah.
Organic posting on LinkedIn. I think the ad agency model is broken. I think it's bloated. I think it costs way too much. And I think you can get an equally serviceable option without going through the layers of account management and creative direction and project management, all that stuff. Is like, what do we need to accomplish? Let's figure that out and do it, you know? And that line of thinking, I'm afraid of sharing that because I come from an ad agency, you know, and I got to like set that aside and like start putting it out there, you know?
I'm gonna say this because now you're holding a mirror up to me. Because my mom says all the time, she's like, you have a story and you need to share it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's part of the reason why I haven't thrived, why I haven't grown or done the thing that I need to, because I'm afraid of what other people may think, even though nobody cares.
They kind of don't.
Nobody cares. Everyone has their own opinions. And then everybody has their niche, right?
Yeah.
But the difference is like we have experience. We have actual knowledge. These are things we've actually been in. So we're not just like reading something off of Google and being like, well, this is actually what it is. It's like, no, like I've been in business this many years. I've failed this many times. I've succeeded this many times. I've made this much money. I've done this. I've helped these people. I've done this. I've done that as well. This is where my stuff is coming from.
Yeah.
I may not have X, Y, and Z, but I have a ton of experience to counteract that.
Yeah, and it's like, especially in this day and age, is like data. But it's like, no, my lived experience is just as valid too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I was the producer at that agency, which meant that like when it came time to make the thing, I was the one who had to make sure it got made.
Yeah.
The reason I have the experience that I have is because it usually came to me late or underfunded, and I had to find a way to make it work. And it's like, but how does that keep happening? Because I know what the budgets on these things are.
Yeah.
I know what the budget on the whole project is. There's no reason for how much money there is. It should be that late or it should be underfunded. Like something's wrong. And
People
as I
just
dug
don't care.
in, you know?
People just don't care. Like I've learned people don't care as much as you. Like don't expect
Yeah,
yourself
that's true.
from other people.
Yeah.
Like if you're a person that goes hard, like, cause I used to go really hard. Like it got to the point in high school, right? I had really bad asthma. Like I was born with very bad asthma. They said the average person gets 100% air in their lungs. Some people even get up to 200%. I was born at 50.
Holy cow.
And then I had to take a bunch of medicine to get up to like 60, 70.
Yeah.
Still under bare minimum.
Wow.
And no, in high school, I ran cross country for a few years. I played soccer, I played golf, and I played basketball.
Jeez.
So
With asthma.
yes. And I remember like verbatim, like one day, you can't call them suicides now, but they're called,
Yeah, I know what
they
you're
were called wind sprints. And
They're
we were
suicides. I'm a millennial. They're suicides.
we were going back and forth, and we did a lot of college drills, and I believe they called these like 18s or something like that, where it's like you had to go sideline to sideline, but like not the long way, the halfway in like 55 seconds or a minute, and you had to do 18 of those.
Holy cow.
Man, we had to knock it down to 16 because we couldn't make the 18s. And I think it was me and maybe like one or two other people that made the 18s. So we dropped them down to 16s and we made them. But like, I was literally dying.
I believe that.
Like, I'm talking like when I got finished, because we had to do them back to back. And it got to the point, he was like, yo, because he's the only one that knew about my actual issue.
Yeah.
But it took me a while to tell him. Because I was like, yo, like, he's like, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, I didn't want you to think I had a crutch.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you should have told me. That's like health issues. And I'm like, bro, like, I don't need you to think I have a crutch. Like, I don't need you to try and treat me differently. Like, I'm still here doing the same thing. I don't want special treatment. And like, no, this was one, the asthma. So we had to do those. But two, like, my second near-death experience is I had a concussion when I was like 10.
Hey, me too.
And the crazy part about that is, like, when I remember it, like, it was before a rec league basketball game. I had a watch from a friend. My mom was at the top of the bleachers. I ran up there to give her the watch. I took one step, missed the next. And next thing I know, I remember waking up because there were tears on my face. I could feel the tears on my face. But the only thing is, I was not in my body. Like, I was up looking down at my body, and I was looking at my mom, and I'm like, because there was a light up there, and I'm like,
this is it.
I was like, that's a little crazy. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but I could feel that. But I was like, that's not good. I was like, I need to get back down there. And I remember waking up, and she was talking to me, and like, I was like all crazy. And I remember waking up in like the back of like them picking me up, and I like could not move my face or my body. And they put me in the EMS and everything else. And then after that, I was like, I thought it was like 2-3 weeks. My mom was like, no, that was 3 months. I was like bedridden.
For 3 months?
Like, I was in the bed. I could get up a little bit, but like I really needed a lot of assistance. Like, I remember a lot of nights, like, I would just randomly throw up. Like, I could barely walk, all this other stuff.
Whoa.
Like, I was just in the back room, just not like, and the doctor was like, yo, like, your brain was kind of like jelly. There's like, if you have another like head trauma or anything blunt to your head, like, you're going to either die or you're going to be a vegetable.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't tell my high school coach, because he wanted us to take charges and everything else.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I'm not going. And he was like, yo, why aren't you falling? Why aren't you falling? You got to fall properly. And I'm like, dude, like.
Because I'll die.
And then I eventually told him, he's like, why didn't you tell me? And I'm like, I didn't want you to think I had a crutch. Yeah. He's like, that's a serious thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no,
I'll be liable for that if you get hurt, you know?
And I was like, bro, I'm good. So fast forward to all that, like, that's why I gave it my all. Like, I died,
yeah,
you know, doing them 16s and 18s to the point I had to curl over. And he's like, why is he the only one making it? He has severe trauma. I mean, like, severe asthma, you know? But that goes back to why I would go hard on everything, because I was like, yo, like, it's either all or nothing, and I have that mentality.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm curious because, like, you know, these near-death experiences, like, in what way do those make you want to try harder? It makes me think of a story, you know, that story that they tell. I can't remember who tells it, but it's like the idea of, like, someone's getting their head held underwater. And it's like
Eric Thomas. That's my guy.
I think so.
That's the guru story. He's like, if you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe.
As you want to breathe, exactly.
I love Eric Thomas, bro. That's the same guy. We listened to that story in high school.
Yeah.
I got introduced to that by the same mentor.
Yeah. And so it's like, I feel that from you, where you're like, you understand that I have to want this and work as hard at this as I want to breathe.
Oh yeah.
You know? But I think on the other side of that is like, does that ever go too far? Do you feel like you work too hard?
Sometimes. I've gotten I just yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Sometimes I give too much of myself. Sometimes I give way too much. I give way more than I should have, right? Mm-hmm. I realize I have kind of like not only a savior complex, but I also have like an impulsive issue and sometimes a little bit of control.
Yeah.
Right? So I like to make sure things are a certain way, or if something happens, I like really try and figure it out because it'll cause me anxiety, like real bad anxiety. Mm-hmm. Or I really just go so hard on something when I needed to pull back and just allow it to breathe for a second. Because when I go really hard, the only person getting hurt at the end is me, because now I'm like, yo, like, I'm a failure. I couldn't even do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, you literally could have if you just took a step back. If you just took your hands off the gas. Like you didn't have to be like SpongeBob and put your toe through your shoe and then through the ground, through the whole vehicle just to mash the gas. Like you just tap it a little bit, check it here and there, mash the gas when you need to, but, hit the brakes or, just let off.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. That idea of like, knowing when to go hard, but also like being able to kind of pull back a little bit too, I think is really important. So as from one creative to another who does creative things for a business, for their livelihood, how do you blow off steam?
Blowing off steam, bro. Hold on. Blowing off steam. Okay, so that's a very good question, honestly. Like, I think I literally just recently got into blowing off steam, honestly. Like, I've just started cultivating stronger relationships with my friends because I would consider myself a popular loner, but that's only because I would do it on purpose. Like, I'd be like, oh, I got nobody to call, nobody to talk to.
Friends are expensive, dude.
But it's like, I wouldn't call any of them. I wouldn't give them the chance to be there or help me at all. And I wouldn't go play basketball. I wouldn't play video games. I would just sit there. And it's like, that's not good at all. You're just sitting there working through these things and then I start overthinking really bad.
Come on, man.
And recently, like, I've gotten more back into the things that I did when I was a kid. Like, so with my brother, like playing video games, watching anime again, Now I have friends and, I get to talk to them on the phone or we hang out. Like, one of my homegirls, like, we're watching Solo Leveling. And she pulls up and she's like, hey, like, let's watch Solo Leveling and then Body Double, right? So she got something to work on, I got something to work on, and then we watch a little Solo Leveling, then we chop it up, That's typically what I do. I have my other homie, sometimes he's like, yo, like, let's session, and we just create something and we just chop it up.
Yeah.
So, like, me blowing off steam is really just doing the things I did when I was a kid. Because I got me an OG Game Boy Advance with no color.
Nice.
So I'm sitting there next to the window, like tilted like this.
Trying to get the... No one knows the struggle of playing Game Boy by the light of the street lights as you're driving home,
I'm saying. So it's like doing those things have really helped me blow off steam. Because I'm like, yo, like, why did I get rid of these? Like, these are the things that used to make me happy. But I went into college and I'm like, oh, high school, I'm like, oh, I'm the weird kid that plays video games. I like anime. I was supposed to be all these things because, I was an athlete. I'm smart. I have locks. I look good. I'm fit. I'm stylish. So it's like, if I showed those parts and things to myself, I wouldn't be received the way I wanted to be received. So I kind of just would wear a mask and everything else. And I realized after a while, that wasn't it, man. Like, I was holding so much in, not doing things that made me happy. So now, like, I'm in the phase of, like, doing things that make me happy.
I love that. And I feel like I'm learning a lot from what you're saying because I'm in a very similar place, too, where all of last year I pretty much spent grinding trying to get my business off the ground. And, like, I'm still here. I'm still alive, I'm doing the thing, but... And you're talking about how to blow off steam. It's like, do the things that you enjoyed as a kid. And it's like, for me, I kind of already do that, but I managed to do it as a business because as a kid, I would just like come home, throw my backpack down from school, run outside, go in the woods and like make up stories and play pretend. And like, if you think about it, commercial directing is kind of just doing that already. But then I think about it as like, I love to play guitar. I love to play video games. And like, these are all things that are still in my life.
Yeah.
But I struggle to give to them because I feel like they're not giving to me monetarily. And I realize now that it's like, no, it doesn't have to do that. Like, so for me to have self-love, I can just do those things because I enjoy doing them. It doesn't have to be good. And I think the other side of that, the blowing off steam part is like, let me just do the things that I already do, that I want to do, that I like doing, but do them with other people as well.
Yeah.
And like, and it doesn't have to be for a product. It can just be like, hey, I like doing this with my friends. Let's just do it because it's fun. It's cool, So I appreciate you telling me that. And you kind of healed a little bit of the boy so I can find the man kind of thing,
Yeah, to be honest, bro. Like, you really just got to, like I said, like, I have quite a few pieces where I talk about your inner child
Mm-hmm.
because like that's who you just want to make happy. It's like it's not the girl you're dating or the person you're dating
Yeah.
or anything else. Like, 8-year-old you think you're not successful, you're not making a lot of money, but like 8-year-old you is like, yo, you're so cool.
You're the
bro.
coolest. Yeah, you're
Like,
the coolest person
What
in
do
the world.
you mean? You're an adult? You did this? You're doing that?
Yeah.
You have this? You've done these things? Like, they'd be so hyped.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to remember to give yourself that love too. It's like they're like, oh, you have a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation 4?
Yeah.
And a Game Boy Advance?
And the cool computer and the
And you have artwork? You have friends too? Oh my goodness. Like you have a home studio? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Like they would have been so hyped. But like, I'm like, okay, cool. I got 5 awards. Okay, I did this. I did this. I haven't made $10,000 a month yet. I hate everything. And it's like,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
it's like, whoa, like why is it tied to that?
That's true. And I know your question was rhetorical, but I think the reason it might be tied to that, and the way I think about it at least, is like I think that's the person who I'm trying to compare myself to the person who I'm going to become, not the person that I became.
You're all of those people.
Exactly. I'm all of it. I'm past, present, and future, and all, it's all one person.
It's all at once. Like I tell people, I say this all the time. People joke about it, but like time is not real.
I agree,
Like
100%.
I wake up every day at 3 a.m., sometimes 2 a.m., right?
Oh, wow.
And people are like, oh, how do you do that? And I'm like, I go to sleep at like 9 or 9:30.
Yeah.
There's like,
It's just move the clock.
they're like, why are you? And I'm like, dude, because I'm not doing anything at night. There's nothing to do at night. Like, that's like desperate hours. That's where people are stressed. That's where people are like, oh, I want to lay up. I want to do. I'm like, oh, bro, like, I'm going to wake up early and go get some peace. Like, I'm going to wake up and get some work done, send some emails, or just go outside and look at the trees.
Yeah.
And watch the sunrise.
when no one else is around.
Yeah, I'm going to just do those things, like things that make me happy. Like, I'm going to go have breakfast. I'm going to have a workout. I'm going to go watch some anime. And what is it going to be? 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take a nap. And I'm going to wake up at 8.
Yep.
And I'm going to start my next day.
That's cool.
Like, there's so much you can do if you just actually decide to take advantage of the time that you have in front of us. Because people say it all the time. We all have the same 24 hours.
Yeah.
And people was like, I don't have enough time in the day. And it's like, yo, you do.
You give it to this.
Yeah.
You
Like,
know?
I talked to a few people. And I remember last person I told them, like, you have an iPhone, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, go in your settings and then turn on, I forgot what it's called, but it monitors like how long you're on your apps.
Oh, screen time?
Yeah, screen
Yeah.
time. And I'm like, come back to me and tell me how much your screen time is. And they were
Hours.
like, yeah, it says 10 to 12 hours. And I'm like, you feel like you don't have enough time? I was like, mine gets to maybe like 6 to 10, and that's only because I get bored. But I'm like, I still have 18-hour days though.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I still like almost more than half of my day, I'm still doing something else.
Yeah.
And that's just filler.
Yeah. And even with the 10 to 12 hours, it's not like you have to give all that out. Imagine if you got like 1 or 2 of those back. What could you do with it?
Exactly.
That's a great gaming session. That's a great anime session. That's a great music session. Great walk around the
You
neighborhood.
can learn a new recipe.
You could learn a recipe. You could learn a language in that time. Like, all if you just like control the phone instead of letting it control you, kind of thing.
I mean, yeah, I like baking, and I learned a new recipe yesterday for chocolate chip muffins.
Come on, man.
Like, I baked a chocolate cake like last month. It took me like 4 hours, and it was like 3 tiers. It was a 3-tier double chocolate cake. But it's like,
see, okay, I'm gonna say this, and I hope this reference lands. But like, you know the Joker from The Dark Knight,
which one?
the Christopher Nolan, the Heath Ledger Joker.
I think so.
The like not the Walking Phoenix, but like the one
so.
with like Christian Bale and all that stuff.
I think so.
You're that guy, but good.
That's interesting. Why do you say that?
Because he has a quote in the movie where he's like, "I'm like a dog chasing its tail. I don't know what I would do if I caught it. I just do things." But you are that, But you also want to help people. His whole thing was about destruction.
Yeah.
Your whole thing is about creation. And so like I see that like kind of like I want to say randomness, but it's a compliment.
I appreciate it.
But and kind of like, oh, what am I gonna do? But it's more of like I can do anything. So like you're just kind of like amazed at all the possibilities. So it's like, yeah, why don't we just do it? You know?
I can say the reason I literally do any and everything, and people joke and stuff, and people have called me a mama's boy and stuff or whatever else. I don't consider myself one. I do love my mom, but I know we have our differences. But like that's still my mom at the end of the day. Like I love everybody in my family. Like my family, like those are my people. Like anybody mess with my family, it's raps.
It's
like, it's raps.
Yeah.
But she would always tell us, she was like, yo, you could be anything you want. And I remember in first grade, I tell this story a lot, but I had a back and forth with my teacher. Now her name was Miss Ursula, and we behind her back call her Ursula the Sea Witch.
I believe that 100%.
And I personally had a vendetta against her because she didn't like the fact that I talked, and she would always put my pen on orange or red. She didn't like me. And I remember her one day, she was like, what does everybody want to be? No, this first grade. Everybody's like, princess, mom, firefighter, military, lawyer, doctor. Gets to me. So I want to be a professional athlete. I want to be a scientist. I want to be a chef.
All of these
and
things.
she's like, you can't be all of those. And I'm like,
why not?
why not? My mom says I could do whatever I want. I have a whole life ahead of me.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you just can't. And I'm like, no, I can. I have it already figured out. I'm going to do this. I was like, the time span for a professional athlete, the average is this. So maybe in like my 20s, close to 30, I'll get that up. And then I'll move to being like a scientist, and I'm going to own a pastry shop. And she's like, sit down.
Yeah. But there it is again. The way that they tell you it's supposed to be done doesn't work for you. And I'm glad that it doesn't, because you wouldn't be who you are if it did, you know. I want to ask you something. You've said it twice. I want to make sure we cover it before and not glance over it. You've won 5 international awards.
Yes.
And all right, so tell us about it. You can't just like mention that in passing.
So I don't talk about them a lot because I feel like I'm just a regular guy.
Hey, this is your chance to flex, man.
I'm just a chill guy.
I know you. I'm just a chill, nonchalant kind of guy,
So I think 3 of the awards are from like UK type area.
Okay.
I think one was like most evocative artist, and then another one was like luxury art retailer.
Wow.
Of the year or something like that. And then I got some other title I forgot. I just got an email last week about someone nominating me for like some other award or something. I don't know where it came from. But locally I got from a place called Ace University, like an education and leadership award. And then from the Greensboro Kwanzaa Collective, I got my first award in like the December of 2023.
Wow.
Called the Nguza Sabe Community Champion Award.
Okay.
And that was the first one, but within like 6 months, I ended up winning like all 5 of those awards. And I'm like, this is kind of fire. I'm like, am I good or something?
Other people think I am. But it's funny how that works, though, where it's like you have to convince yourself to do, again, this time, you have to convince yourself that like, yeah, I can do this. I believe in it. And then you get the recognition. You're like, oh, no, I'm not that. I didn't earn that. But it's like, no, like you do. This is fulfillment of that self-fulfilling prophecy that you said, like, I believe in my ability to do this. And now I'm finally getting the recognition. It's like one thing I know I could be better at is like receiving that and being grateful for it and saying, thank you. I'm glad you all think so, because it's taken me 34 years to get to that point,
Listen, man, people tell me all the time, and it's funny because you say you're 34, and I'm going to say my age, and people are always like, you're a baby. But like, I'm 25.
Yeah.
I'll be 26 in May, and people's like, you got so much time, man. I'm like, no, that's why I'm going so hard.
Yeah.
Like, you guys say I can relax. I'm like, no, like, my goal is to retire by 35.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to touch a couple M's in the next couple of years, bro. Like, I know it can happen. I know I can. I'm just trying to lock in the systems So that's why I wake up at 3 o'clock every day. That's why I have those 18-hour days, because I'm like, yo, I got to do the things other people aren't willing to do because I want results that they're not going to have.
Yeah.
Like, the life I desire and the things I want to do aren't close to what people would consider average.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not going to take my foot off the gas until I'm making $250 million a year.
Come on, man. Go ahead. Say it out loud.
And then I'll be like, all right, I can
now
relax
we
for a
can
little
chill.
bit, you know?
Yeah.
And I talked to one of my friends. He's like, nah, keep your foot on the gas. Then I'm like, I will. I'm just going to finally relax for a second and
We'll
be
throw
like,
it in cruise control.
then I'll be like, okay, you know, let's take a step back, because we have grinded like hell.
Yeah.
And now we can take a step back. Granted, that's 9 figures. That's an absurd.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
And for me, when I tell people that, they're like, you're insane, bro. And I'm like,
Well, I'm gonna shoot for it. Why not?
I'm like, dude, like I didn't have a lot growing up.
Yeah.
Like, I started with a number 2 pencil on line paper because we did not have a lot of copy paper.
Yeah.
Like, the areas we've lived in, the experiences I've had, the people I've known, like the things I've seen, like the things I've done. It's like, yo, like, we didn't have a lot. So I'm like, what I want to do is give my children something to have.
Yeah.
And I also want to have enough to take care of the family that I came here with, right?
Yeah.
Because my goal is really to have a business and corporation that my family helps me run. So they don't have to work or whatever else. They can choose to do something else if they want to, but I'm like, hey, like, you already got your, 7-figure salary set up, you don't have to do anything, you're already making $500,000 a year just helping me out, you know. If you wanted to start a business to do something, you can, but like, you don't have to. Like, we already have a compound here that I've purchased, that we can all live on, but you can have your own house if you want to.
Yeah, if you want, like, do what you want.
I got the corporate vehicles you guys can drive. I mean, it's cool, like, but you don't have to, because like, that's my energy. Like, I want to take care of my people, especially the people that take care of me.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. I love that. Love everything about that, because it's like, it's being wealthy for the benefit of other people, not the benefit of yourself.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. Like, I want this car called a Carlman King, and it starts at $2 million, and they're all one of one.
All right.
Right, and I want like 6 vehicles.
Okay.
But I want 6 vehicles because I want something fuel efficient. I want something for the family. I expect myself to be a high profile person.
Okay.
So I want like a bulletproof vehicle.
Come on, man.
I also want, what is it? Like a motorhome.
Okay.
Because I've never been on a road trip, but I always think they're so cool.
Yeah.
Right. So I want a bunch of vehicles, but they all have their own individual person. I'm not like the person that's like, I want 6 Rolls Royces and Ferraris.
Just because. Yeah.
I might have like a hypercar or 2, just because it's just gonna be fire to be like, oh yeah, I got a McLaren, I got a
Lambo. Come on.
Yeah. But I'll probably spend my stuff on experiences and stuff like that. Like, most of my money, like, I aspire to be a philanthropist as well too. So like, same way, like, if stuff like this, I'm like, yeah, guys, like, you could go to the, I got like 6 compounds and, Winston, I got some in, Charlotte, some in Greensboro. I got a whole system, a connection, just get your membership. It's like $10, $20. I was like, if you want to, I could comp you all, like, the whole group some. It's okay. Just go ahead, do what you need to do.
Yeah.
I didn't have things. So it's like, here, do what you need to do, funding these events, doing these things. So I'm like, I feel like somebody need to do it. Why not me?
Yeah, exactly. Someone's got to do it. Why not you? Yeah, man. I love that, dude. I love everything about that. Everything about that. Well, we are about an hour and 20 minutes in. One of the last things I do, because I'm out of questions, one of the last things I do is I give you the opportunity to ask me. I've asked you a lot of things. Is there anything you want to ask me before we wrap it up?
Okay. So, I always like to hear about people's experiences and knowledge, right? Mm-hmm. You're almost, well, not 10 years, but, closer to 10 years older than me, right? If you could go back to my age, right, and you knew somebody like me, and you had the knowledge and stuff that you were doing, that you have now, what is it that you would tell them and guide them to do?
That's a great question.
This is you back then. Like, what would you do to cut the process and time down to get to where you are today from then?
Okay. So when you say it that way, to cut the process down, cut the time down, paradoxically, I would say be patient and stay focused. I think the reason it's taken me as long as it did to get to where I am is I was trying to cut corners and find a faster way to get there, find a faster way to get to where I am. This goes back to what we talked about. Like the way is the way. Sometimes the way is just the way. And so it's like a lot of times I was trying to find shortcuts because I wasn't where I wanted to be. And I wasn't getting there as fast as I wanted, but it was because I wasn't doing the right things to get to where I needed to go. So for example, before I got my job at the ad agency, I bought this $12,000 course that was going to teach me how to sell this and creative that and do that. I got one project from it. So it worked, but my thing is like, I'm not able to stay focused on the one thing long enough for it to bear fruit. And that's kind of what I'm learning now is that these bids that I lost, that doesn't mean I need to rip up the whole plan.
Nope.
That just means I lost. Let's analyze why we lost. But the game is still the game. So just keep playing it and keep playing it the way that you win. You're not going to win every single time. And I think that's an unrealistic expectation that I carry is like, what can I do so that I can win every single time? That's not possible. And so it's like, now that I know what it is that I do, I need to get very clear and focused on what exactly that is. I think I know what that is, which is content creation, commercial production, and then like brand strategy on the front end. It's like those three things. Now that I know that, that's my foundation. So let's just keep feeding that foundation and then let time do its thing. And weirdly, by being patient and staying focused, I'll actually get there faster than if I was trying to accelerate the process and like look for a cheat code. There is no cheat code.
Yeah.
Anyone who's selling you a cheat code, I heard it this way. If someone's selling you a $10,000 course to make $100,000 a month, if someone was making $100,000 a month, do you think they'd be selling you a $10,000 course on it? No. That $10,000 course is how they make $100K a month, right? And that was the Ponzi scheme that I kind of realized. It's like, no, like just be a good person, find people who know who you are and what you do, and then find the people who need that and just like serve them and treat them well. Like I'm a Christian. That's a big part of it for me. So it's like Jesus wrote the blueprint. If you want to be revered, you want to be loved, you want people to appreciate you, take care of the person next to you.
Yep.
And that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's like, what's the biggest thing I can give away for free? And let me just do that. So that's what I would say. Be patient and be focused.
Yeah. I mean, that's paradoxically, yes. That's the best answer, honestly. And I mean, even when those things like the bids, right?
Yeah.
Ask them for feedback. Like,
Yeah.
whether they'll be like, oh, we advertise or not, be like, hey, do you guys do feedback? I'd like to hear on how I can improve.
Yeah.
Right? Those are, I'm that type of person, right?
Yeah.
I did that because I've won awards and all this other stuff, but still locally, I get turned down.
Dude.
A
yes.
lot. Like in Greensboro, they have like this downtown kiosk. I've got denied, I think 2 or 3 times now.
Yeah.
And I know the people on it that's on the board and everything else. They're just like, we see what you're going for. We just want to see some new work. And I'm like, that's it? That's it? That's all?
Yeah.
Like,
but to me, here's what that says to me. Those aren't my people.
yes. And you say that, and I literally was thinking about that this morning because, and I'm gonna make it short, but
Go ahead.
I was just on a call because I told you I came from a muralism background.
Yeah.
Right. But there's a lot more to that story, and the reason that I decided to split, and having a call, like I was on a call this morning with somebody from Durham because they're looking for public art, and I was telling them about my story and my experiences, and they're like, you have a lot of experience. You have a lot of this and everything else. They're like, you're probably a really good fit for all this stuff. They're like, send me some of your stuff and we'll look at it. And we could probably get you on some projects in X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, is that easy?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, like this is my baby. Like I just want to make sure the right people are in here, and I'm glad you talked to me. And I'm like, well, I normally don't even get to talk to people, so
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact you were like, talk to me.
I love that story because that to me changes now how I approach the game. Everyone I'm talking to, I'm just trying to see if you're my people or not.
Of course.
That's it. I'm not trying to get something off of you. I'm just trying to see if like we're each other's person in this situation. If not, cool. You know, like I think I told you both bids I lost was on geography.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't the person for that one. It wasn't for me. And Satara has this thing on her episode that I quote in my head all the time whenever I lose, which is what is for me is for me.
Yes.
And I have to remember. I might even just get that as a tattoo. I don't have any tattoos, but I might get that as one. What is for me is for me.
Let me know if you need a design.
Okay, right on.
I designed, 4 out of 5 of my tattoos.
Oh, nice. Right on. So yeah, man. That's all I got. You got anything else? Anything else you want to cover? Or I feel like we went kind of like this, but it all made sense.
It's funny because that's my method of storytelling.
I believe that.
Like my method of storytelling is very unorthodox. Like I'll give you the beginning, middle, and the end at different times.
Beginning, middle.
And I'll give you all of the details, and then it'll all come back around, and then you'd be like, it makes sense now.
Yeah, exactly. I got you.
It's like linear storytelling something about it just doesn't seem right with me. Like even when I was telling you about the story about the concussion, like I had to start in high school.
Yeah.
I didn't start when it happened.
Yeah.
He was like, oh yeah, like I forgot the exact question, but I was like, yeah, I had this experience, but that came from the question. I didn't start there.
Yeah.
So I noted the first one I had. I didn't talk about the actual biggest one I had.
Yeah.
I talked about the first experience I had, which was the car crash, but not the biggest one that left me in kind of a coma. And I didn't realize it was a coma until I talked to my therapist. And she was like, yeah, that's, when you lose time and you get confused, like that's a coma. And I'm like,
wait, so you were out in that story for 3 months?
I don't remember that time. Like when I woke, I remember one time I woke up and I was trying to walk down the hallway and I threw up.
Jeez.
And I was like crying and like messed up. And my mom was running down the hallway and she was just like, yo, you're okay. And I was apologizing. I'm like, I'm sorry, I threw up on your floor, X, Y. She's like, no, you're okay. Like, you're okay. I'm like, no, I threw up. I need to clean it up. I need to clean it. She's like, no, like you need to
you need to rest. Yeah.
She's like, you need to rest. And I'm like, no, I messed it up. I messed up the floor. I messed up this. And I'm like, but that's the only other time, people would periodically visit me. And I remember a couple people, but like for the most part, I really thought I was gone out for like 2-3 weeks. And somehow I still finished 5th grade.
Wow.
But
holy cow.
I don't remember it.
So in the face of all that adversity, in the face of all these crazy things that have happened to you, I think that's the theme that I'm pulling out is like you look at the world and you just see all of these cool things that you can do.
Oh, yeah.
And because of these experiences you have, you're just like, you know what? Let's just do it. Why not? Like
Yo,
this is a cool place. Let's just have fun.
It could end any day, bro.
Yeah.
Like that experience, like I had to rewire my brain. It's been almost 16 years this year since that happened. And probably within the last 3 to 5 years, I think I'm just getting back the brain speed that I had back then.
Wow. Holy
Like,
cow.
I felt so delayed and so slowed. Even when I speak, like that's why I have my little pauses. Cause like normally I'm able to,
Yeah.
but like it's still been 16 years, but like I don't think my brain properly healed.
Yeah.
So like I had to retrain and reteach myself a lot of things. And that was me still going through the experiences of middle school and high school and college and dating and first time experiences and trying to have a business, all while still trying to rewire my brain.
Well, I'll tell you, because I need to say it for myself too. It's okay to have a crutch. Sometimes that's what we need, Sometimes that's what we need. So, all right, mate. Well, that's all I got. Last thing I want to ask you, if people want to find you online or on the social medias, what's the best place to do that?
Well, find me everywhere. I got 2 handles. So the first one is Creative Walker with a K. So Kreative Walker. And then you can also find me as well as Micah The Artyst, MICAHTHEARTYST. And both of my websites, just type that in and you'll
Same
find
deal.
it.
All right. Well, cool, man. I appreciate you coming by.
Of course, I appreciate you having me, man. This was great. Honestly, and it's funny, this is my first podcast.
Oh, no way. Well, you did fantastic. Well done.
Yes, I tried to start mine years ago. It never got off the ground.
I know I'm trying to wrap up the show. This is my third time trying to do this, and this is the first time it's gotten off the ground. This has been Echo and Ember. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace.